As a critic, I think it's important to sometimes acknowledge that certain things just aren't made for you. As a 44-year-old man, I'm perfectly aware and at peace with the fact that Wicked targets a somewhat different audience than the one that I'm a part of. Despite all that, I actually had a reasonably good time with the first movie, which I thought was well acted and had some great musical moments. And as such, I was somewhat looking forward to seeing the second film, Wicked for Good. So in this one, now demonized by the citizens of Oz, Elphaba, once again played by Cynthia Erivo, continues her fight to free Oz from the charlatan wizard, played by Jeff Goldblum, and Madame Morrible, played by Michelle Yeoh, while Glinda the Good, played by Ariana Grande, has to contend with a new arrival to Oz, a little girl named Dorothy. However, I must admit that I didn't have as good of a time with the follow-up as I did with the original. It's not that Wicked for Good has anything particularly wrong with it compared to the first movie. The acting by the two stars, Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande, is just as good. Rather, the issue is one that's common with virtually every movie that's the second part of a two-part film, in that it feels like a climax without any build-up. There's no arc, and at 137 minutes, the movie feels bloated with little to no sense of real conflict. It feels like a third act that's been drawn out to its breaking point, and watching this one, it's clear that Wicked would have been much more effective as one 3-hour epic, just like the stage show, as opposed to two long 2-hour-plus films that add up to more than 5 hours of running time. There's probably a great fan edit to be made of the two movies, but watching part 2 is undeniably a disappointment, even if hardcore fans are no doubt going to eat it up. It's just that this plays as much more of a niche audience type thing than the first movie, which was accessible whether or not you're a fan of the stage show. It also doesn't help that so much of the action happens off-screen, as in the sequel, Dorothy's arrived in Oz. We never actually see her, except for the ruby slippers, of course, and all the big set pieces one associates with the Wizard of Oz are just talked about by characters, with no real action left for Elphaba or Glinda. Of course, it's not all bad, as Erivo's singing is still unbelievable, even if she never gets the opportunity to belt out any tunes that are on par with Defying Gravity from the first movie, which was a real showstopper. More hinges on her chemistry with Jonathan Bailey's Fiyero, who finds his loyalties torn between the two women who love him. There are also some cool moments of body horror, which folks who know the play will appreciate, with characters like Ethan Slater's Buck and Marissa Bode's Nessa Rose having rather grim fates, especially poor Buck. Ariana Grande's Glinda also gets some powerhouse moments, and fans will love the long-awaited slapdown between the two. Yet, with the characters given less of an evolution, some of the more obvious flaws of Director John M. Chu's movies become apparent. The added songs feel like padding, and the flat digital look of the movies is also more of an issue, with the movie looking less epic somehow than the first film, which at least had the world of Shiz University to delve into. Nothing you see in Oz can compare to the production design of the first film. Given how much of a moneymaker those movies turned out to be, one wishes Universal had actually ponied up and allowed Chu to shoot the films in a higher-end format, perhaps 35mm or with IMAX cameras. I suppose the movies were considered a huge gamble, but they also lack a certain spectacle that could have made the flaws inherent with the second half a little less obvious. All that said, it should be noted that the preview audiences saw this with didn't seem to mind any of the issues that I mentioned. There was a gang of teenage girls behind me who were singing along with all the musical numbers, and the entire audience did applaud the film at the end. Part of me is inclined to give this a 5 on 10, as I really didn't have that great of a time with it, but the movies obviously work for the audience that they are intended for, even if this critic is a bit of a stick in the mud. So, begrudgingly give this one a 6 out of 10.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.